came up from Bull Gap, headed to Plum Orchard Shelter, and I missed the 2 black butterflies I was trying to get. Can you hear this thing buzzing in my ear? You see it? It's so annoying. It drives me crazy.
So obviously one of the biggest no-nos is trying to burn your trash because a lot of it doesn't actually burn. And I've been packing out trash from different shelters. Like I cleaned out a gas canister and a toilet paper roll from Blue Mountain. And then I took a ton of fireplace trash out of, including an orange peel out of the fire at Trail Mountain Shelter. So this is my PSA, y'all. Stop putting your trash into the fireplace or leaving it around the camp, which is going to attract animals. And then they're going to have to put those animals down. So be nice to the animals. Pack out your trash.
So it's day 12. We hiked in this morning from the Top of Georgia hostel, which was the most amazing hiker experience you could imagine. And we are currently staying at the Plum Orchard triple loft hotel shelter. I call it a hotel as a joke. It has 3 lofts. So there's one super high up and then a middle layer and then one on the floor. I'm guessing that this is a popular place to stay for the thru hikers in March, so they have lots of availability. There's also a bear box here, you can see it there, and bear cables behind me. Yeah, so there's probably some bear activity here. It's called Plum Orchard. We think that it's because of these trees, the smaller ones underneath the maples, which could be plums, although they also look remotely like rhododendrons, so I'll have to ask my dad, find out what those are. Could be plum trees, but that would make this the Plum Orchard. It's like a little summit and it has all these little trees on it. So maybe that these were planted. I'll have to look up that story and get back to you. So we left some friends at the hostel this morning. We left Wild Rover. Wild Rover is 25. He's through hiking. He started late because he just decided 2 weeks before he wanted to hike that he was going to go hike. He's at that age and point in his life where he can just do that, which is awesome. I am not, and actually 2 weeks is just about the right amount of time, I think, to be out here. The spider webs are starting to drive me crazy. I have like a couple pet peeves that like drive me nuts, and spider webs on the trail is one of them. Rachel took one for the team today. Here she's coming back with her water from the water filters area. And she hiked first and saved me from all of the spider webs. Oh my goodness. But we both still got a complete web to the face. Like we both had that experience today. And then it's the initial panic attack of getting it off of you and hoping that the spider's not on it. And then it sticks to your hands like glue. You can't get it off. So that was like our lovely experience. I was just talking about the Top of Georgia hostel. Do you want to say anything about that?
Really recommend it. Very nice facilities. They do your laundry for you.
They give you scrubs to wear while you do your laundry?
Yep. Yeah, to wear while they do the laundry. They'll sell you food. They'll also shuttle you to town to get food.
They have a gear
so you
store?
don't have to pay for a shuttle or a ride. They have
Pizza?
a full kitchen, so you can buy food in town and make your own food if you have dietary needs. Or you just don't feel like pizza anymore.
Pizza. Pizza every day.
Yeah, really nice place, nice people. Owner Bob has great stories, so if you sit a while, he'll tell you awesome stories.
I might share one of them. I might share the tooth story. So there's a picture on the wall, and I think I have some footage of it where it says one of the 10 rules of hiking is don't let the small problems become big problems. And it's a picture of a man who is holding super glue up to his crown that had come out, and he super glued it back in the 100-mile wilderness so that he could finish Katahdin with his friends, like his crew that he was running with. So he did, and I asked Vagabond, I said, well, did it work? Like, did his, crown stay glued in? And she said, oh no, he ended up in the hospital for 8 days with sepsis. So, and then that actually turned out to be Bob, the hostel owner. So he will give you all the information that you might need to know, but won't judge you in regards to your hiking choices because he has also made some choices. So.
He's a really cool dude. He was a ranger out at Glacier National Park for years. He used to do tours all up and down the AT, so he knows these woods really, really well and has lots of fun stories and cool tips and tricks.
And he talked to us about bears. Bears were his specialty to talk about. He had so much information about them. He talked about the 3 colors of eyes in the woods at night. So if you shine your LED headlamp on animals, they have different color eyes. So a bear will have red. So red means stop. So you stop and you wait, and then the bear will go away. And if you shine, on eyes that are green, it's a deer, and deer means go. Like, you're totally fine. You can just keep walking. And if you shine your lights on blue eyes, it's a baby bear. And you need to be careful because sometimes they're up in a tree and you don't know where the mama is. So, yes, so blue eyes means caution, red means stop, and green means go. So those are the colors of eyes in the woods. I do not know what color other creatures are.
Spiders just glitter.
Panther. Do we have panthers here? We still don't know if there are panthers here, but I've been looking for them. Also wild boar. So I need to look up those ones as well.
I don't think wild boar are nocturnal.
I thought they were nocturnal. I don't know. This is Rachel's pillow that she has for nap time. Made by Climate, right? Yeah. I have that same pillow piece, but it's attached to my pad. And then I just flip it over so that it's a little bit higher than my pad. All right, well, we're gonna get ready for nap time. I might actually take you over to the privy so you can see what a privy is. I have a feeling that some of you are really gonna wanna know what the bathroom looks like at the shelter. So let's go do that.
Tour, like down.
Oh, down the hole. Here we go.
So this is an Appalachian Trail privy. I can smell it from back here. Although the pine smells pretty new, so they must have renovated this not too recently. So you come out here, and it's got a roof with like some mice nests and things and spider webs. And then you come in here, and here's the toilet. Ah! And then that's the pooper. And then sometimes they have bins of shavings and chippings and mulch to throw in there so that they can compost in there as well. So that is the Appalachian Trail system. And then we always bring paper and hand sanitizer every time we come down here, so you can't wash your hands. Okay, so that's what it looks like for anybody who was wondering. We are earthing our feet. You're not even in the little pool yet.
Not yet.
Good luck with that. That's gonna be cold. Cold. That should be good for it. So Rachel, you rolled your ankle. What day was it?
July 4th.
July 4th. And here we are on the 12th.
Still a little puffy.
Still pretty puffy. She's been carrying a 42-pound pack. 37 pounds today. Because we have a light carry, we only had to carry a day and a half worth of food, even with full water. It's pretty awesome. And yeah, so first time I've seen it.
That's not the first time icing it. First time icing it in a river.
In a river.
Iced
Yeah.
it with like actual ice at the hostel
Yeah.
and hotel.
So yep, we are sunny out. Finally, we had some thunderstorms roll through here, but we were napping. We were smart. And we were already in at the shelter. We've had the shelter to ourselves pretty much since we got here. We had 2 guys roll through from North Carolina, and they were cruising. They had done a 20-mile day in their hike, and they did the same mileage as us in 7 days. That took us 12 days, so they are cruising. And they're trying to get another 7 done tonight. So they left at 5, and they're going to try to do that in 3 hours. It's very impressive. Are your feet numb yet?
Not yet.
And I only had them in there for like maybe 2 minutes.
It still hurts. They're not numb.
Doesn't hurt. Yeah. It's really refreshing. I like how somebody like put those rocks there to like make the wall so that you could really, you know, stick your feet in there nicely. I'm gonna like look for some quartz. One of the boys was a sophomore in college, and he was studying to be a geologist, and he found a really beautiful piece of quartz, and I see the hole from where he got it right there. So I'm gonna try to like look around and see if I can find a pretty piece of quartz like he found. I like it how he was carrying multiple rocks.
I think there's a piece right here.
Okay. I see some good contenders. I found one. Very pretty. So in case you're wondering what this is leukotape, and we put it on our hands where the straps rub from our trekking poles, and we put it on our ankles where we get actually it looks like blisters, but I don't have any blisters. I have a little bit of rubbing or hot spots, and then I put it on every like possible poison ivy or bad bug bite. That way you can't itch it. So what's this one?
It's shiny. You see the shiny piece?
Oh. Oh my gosh, that could be gold. So you know how he said that he found gold?
Yeah. Well, you want to chip it out of there, go ahead.
Wow, we maybe struck gold.
So I'll just talk about the shelter experience for a couple minutes because it is an acquired taste. It's something that coming out on the Appalachian Trail, I definitely thought that I would only use in a state of emergency. I'm packing out a tent for a reason. Like if I'm going to carry all that weight, why wouldn't I use it? It gives you privacy, gives you your own space where you can put your stuff. I actually have a 2-person tent, which means I have extra space for all my things. And what I had read and watched on YouTube about the shelters is that they're open air, and so that means you have exposure to the elements. Besides rain, you have exposure to mosquitoes, any kind of bugs or creepy crawlies that want to come in there. And the biggest, I'd say, barrier for me wanting to be in the shelters was the fact that they are notorious for having mice that live in them. They hide during the day, they come out at night, and there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. Like, you just have to get used to the fact and, like, kind of accept this idea that, like, you'll be sharing a space with mice that are kind of, like, scurrying around at night and possibly on you, which in no way was appealing for me. So coming out on the trail, I definitely thought I would be using my tent pretty much every time, unless for some reason I couldn't and I needed to stay in a shelter. Plus, you're sharing the shelter space with complete strangers if anybody else shows up. So none of us are showering or bathing regularly. A lot of us are choosing not to use deodorant. It's a special experience.
You're making it sound really fun.
So,
the first couple of nights we stuck with that plan. We stayed in tents, and then the rain came, and after hiking all day in rain or in dodging rainstorms, and then packing up like a super wet tent, or getting to shelter or camp at night or near dark, and having the possibility for more rain, the idea of a shelter started looking a lot more appealing. If you look at any of Aimee's videos where she shows you the interior spaces, you can see that they're all lofted off the ground by several feet, so you get a dry space that's covered. They can be warm, especially if there's a lot of people packed in there, but more often are a little bit drafty just because the wind can blow under and over and through.
Through the holes, yeah.
Yeah, through all the holes and whatnot. But it came down to being too tired to care. When you get to a certain place and you're tired and it's later at night, so you don't want to have to set up your tent, or your tent's soaked, or you don't want to, it's pouring down rain, so you don't want to set up your tent in the rain, because at least with my model, you can't set up the tent with the rain fly on. You have to set it up first and then put the rain fly on, which means if it's raining while you're doing that, your interior of the tent's going to get pretty wet. The shelters start looking a lot more appealing, and what's fun about the shelters is that it creates like this really social experience that every shelter we've stayed at, with the exception of today, and that's so far, we've shared that space with several other people, and some of those people have been really insane characters that we kind of wished we weren't sharing a space with, but a lot of them have been really amazing people. And so you get to hear their stories, you share your favorite experiences of the day, you share where you saw snakes or bears that day. And that's a lot of what goes into forming your tramily, your trail family. And so we've met like a lot of really cool people, and you kind of are all centering around that shelter experience. Even if you're not staying in the shelters, let's say you're hammocking or tenting nearby, there's the bathrooms, there's usually a fresh water source, there's bear cables or a bear box, at least on the southern part of the trail. I know that disappears further up if you go north. But anyway, you start to come up with a lot of reasons that you enjoy the shelters. The shelter experience is an acquired taste, but it has been a really fun one overall, if not a little bit weird and creepy.
And you can also hang up your packs with all your pockets open, because you know the mice are just going to get in there.
Yeah, you hang up your
But
packs,
they stay dry.
but it gives you a dry space to do that. You can hang up your clothes if there's enough space, that kind of thing.
Your favorite memory so far? On trail or off trail?
Let's see. I mean, I build my memories around people, so by far my favorite part of this experience has been meeting various people that were really cool and fun to talk to, and talking to them and sharing parts of the trail with them. I would say my favorite view and my favorite climb actually was at Blood Mountain, which is surprising because we heard from pretty much everyone how terrible Blood Mountain was. Like the entire time we were prepping for this trip, that's the only mountain that got mentioned in the whole state of Georgia that people are afraid of, was Blood Mountain. And
we hated smaller mountains way more.
I'll grant you that it was not like an easy day. But especially if you go northbound, so that you're climbing the one side of the trail and then down the other side going north, it's not that bad. It's really not. And in addition to that, when you get to the bottom, if you're going northbound, you get to the bottom and you're at mountain crossings, which means you can get some resupplies, you can camp, you can stay in a hostel, you could pay for a shower, you could get a ride or hitch a ride into town and get barbecue. There's pizza. Aimee loves the pizza.
Every time.
The views from Blood Mountain, a lot of the time they get fogged out, but the views were amazing, and they were some of my favorite, and they had the largest viewing area, so even though there were rattlesnakes up there, I could stay like 20-30 feet away from them and still enjoy my snack and the view, which pretty much everywhere else in Georgia so far, if there's a view, and there's not a lot of them because we're in full summer, so there's just trees and bushes everywhere. Every single ledge has had snakes, and the ledges are only 6 or 8 feet wide, so that's not somewhere I'm going to hang out or spend a lot of time.
So
yeah,
my
we've had
favorite
3 ledges with snakes.
Oh yeah,
3
at
so
least,
far.
that
3
we
out of
know of.
4. Yeah, 3 out of 4 ledges.
So my favorite mountain, probably my favorite hike, was Blood Mountain, and that was on a bum ankle because I sprained my ankle the day before. So even with that, that was probably my favorite.
And your super heavy pack. It's
And my super
very
heavy
impressive. Super impressive.
I like to have things.
So my favorite mountain was actually Blue Mountain, and there's a shelter on the top of that mountain where we met some thru hikers, Flip and Coach, who were doing a flip-flop piecemeal thru hike. They're saving the last 150 miles in Maine so that they can end at Katahdin, but they were on their way south to Springer, and that would like complete this whole section from Springer all the way up to that section in Maine. So they've been working on that since I think last summer. But that mountain view, I did get a time lapse of a sunset there that was really beautiful, and then we saw the magic hour sky turn pink all around the mountain, and I couldn't capture it on the camera, but you could see the ridges, like the smaller ridges of mountains are all around us, like a 360-degree view up there. So this is our second charred lightning tree today. It's unreal. You see the destruction, like a whole tree.
Okay, we made it to North Carolina. Woot woot! In 2018. And this is where we end our northern hike on the AT. We're gonna turn around now and head back to Blue Ridge Road and then go find Rachel's mom. But
Made it to North
we
Carolina.
made it this is pretty awesome. This is not a very exciting spot because it's like just this tree and this old like logbook pipe where they have moved it. We're gonna save the fun Bly Gap tree, which is really famous, for next year, and we're gonna re-hike these 3 miles and pick up right where we left off. Hopefully, if Rachel still wants to hike with me. All right, hey North Carolina, let's like walk into you. Oh yeah, North Carolina! Woo! Okay, and let's go home. Okay, Florida, here we come. Bye. Also, before we go to Florida, can we just talk about the nonsense that is seeing 4 snakes and 0 bears when every single person around us saw bears?
Completely unfair. I've told the woods already. There are no more snakes unless I get to see a bear. Or a cougar.
I mean, it should be a consolation prize for our injuries, right? My
Exactly.
hamstring, your ankle. We should at least get to see a bear.
For real.
Do you think it's because we're too loud?
We're definitely too loud. Bears don't want anything to do with us.
Into the woods to grandmother's house. Into the woods.
On the road again.
In the rain again. How are we back in the rain again? Oh, we made it out to the road. Yay! Blacktop. Well, we walked down that road for way more than a mile. It was at least 7 miles. How many miles?
This is not 7 miles.
At least 10 miles. It was the longest road I've ever walked in my life. We're waiting for Rachel's mom, and then we're gonna go home to shower. Exciting. Okay, well
Welcome back.
Welcome back to our after show. Great season finale. Didn't you just love that? So we made it to the Georgia-North Carolina border. Plum Orchard was one of the most memorable places for me. We were there by ourselves, and so it will forever haunt me.
What you have to understand is that up until Plum Orchard, we had spent every night on the trail with groups of people. Even when we weren't staying at a shelter, there were people camping nearby. And so to stay at Plum Orchard completely alone was
Terrifying, actually. It was really scary.
And
That was one of the places I had to go to the bathroom by myself in the middle of the night. And it was only me and Rachel. It wasn't like I got to come back to a giant group of people. It was just us.
It was one of those times where you realized that you had something and you didn't realize you had it until it was gone. Because up until then, I didn't really think that having a bunch of strangers around me made me more comfortable in the woods, but they 100% did. There is something to be said for safety in numbers.
And it was really interesting that that happened to us on our last night on the trail. It was like the final hazing. If that had happened on day one,
it would have been a lot worse.
It would have been a trail killer. I think we wouldn't even have made it as far as we did because it's just so lonely and you're so isolated. And some people would really enjoy that. But the noise, not knowing what a noise is and not having, you know, the opportunity to turn on floodlights or something is a little bit unnerving.
We left our glow lights on, but we also left my headlamp on all night.
So some people say, oh, won't the lights attract bugs? The answer is yes.
Did not care.
Did not care
because I could see everything in the shelter. And
also
it meant that
the
there
mice
weren't mice hanging out with me. They were in my pack instead.
You would hear like moths hitting the wall all night long or by Rachel's headlamp, which was 8 feet to 10 feet away from us.
Away from us, but like still in the shelter.
Yeah. But even if there had been other people there, I would have lobbied for like everyone to have lights because of the situation with
the mice. Were really active at this shelter.
The mice were crazy. So it was a 3-loft shelter. It was the first one that we'd seen.
Like fit like 15 people.
We slept in the shelter that night just because we were by ourselves. I think it would have been even creepier just to be in your tent, like alone. So I now know that I don't want to be on the show alone. So what I was talking about, what was it? Oh, yeah. So I climbed up to the top level while it was daylight and saw the mouse run across. So we knew that there was mice.
There was like a whole nest.
There was a nest up on the 3rd loft. So
and they were bold, as always. They were bold. But you could hear them climbing in and around the packs, and I was glad that we left the lights on.
So Plum Orchard was beautiful during daylight hours.
And creepy at night.
And super creepy at night.
And we were not the only ones who thought that. And I think part of it is that the plum trees have like these weird windy, bendy, creepy forests.
It was very graveyard-esque.
And at night, and they're everywhere. And so like at night you'd hear something and you'd look around and even the trees look scary.
Yeah. So, but then the next day was our last day on trail. So we headed out from Plum Orchard over a couple of easy sections down to the road. We peeked down the road because we're like, okay, we're going to hike this road later. It doesn't look too bad. We went up, we got the Georgia border and the North Carolina border. We came back out, and then we started hiking down this road.
Oh, we also met a really cool woman who teaches in Florida. She's actually going to be the junior ROTC teacher
for Marjorie Stoneman,
which was really awesome. And she gave us some like Atlanta recommendations for good places to get food that I'm going to take advantage of.
Thanks for following.
Shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then we hit the road. Yes. It looked like it wasn't that bad. It was supposed to be
the steepest mountain road
It was supposed to be like a 3/4 of a mile hike on a gravel road to get to pavement, and that's where we had asked my mom to meet us to take us out.
It was like a mile and a half down this crazy rocky, washed out, steep, scary mountain road.
I slipped and immediately busted it. Like, I mean, straight up, like, wrestling move hit my elbow, which was like awesome.
At least you had the experience of falling like in a section of the road that like is respectably hard. I just tripped on one piece of gravel on like a flat road and like pulled my hamstring again immediately.
And why, you ask, were we walking on a flat road? And the answer is that
to find cell phone service.
Poor mother could not find us. And so after waiting at where the gravel meets the pavement for like an hour, we were like, we should maybe keep hiking.
But the thought of like hiking more when we were like, no, this is our done spot was a little challenging for me mentally. But We suited up, we put our packs back on, and we did about 2 miles down that road.
On the road.
To find
it was
her.
just like a random mountain
And
road
it
in
was
Georgia.
some of the most beautiful country I've ever seen. The vistas there of the rolling hills that we had already hiked up, and the rivers and the cows and the farms were beautiful. And that was a wonderful way to end like our little picturesque hike that day.
Eventually, we got in touch with my sister, who said that my mom was really close, but she didn't have cell phone service.
And we found her.
We found her. I was so happy.
And we went to civilization.
And
again.
she drove us home.
That was awesome.
And my mom cooked for us that night. We did laundry. We slept in real beds, had real showers.
Thank you, Claren family.
I got to see my puppy, my dog.
And then we headed back
And
to
then we
Florida.
went back to
the next
Florida.
day.
So until next year.
Until next year, let us know if you have any questions that we didn't answer that you're still curious about. All right, see you next year.